American college students unaware of the extent of free speech. For many years, American colleges and universities have let people speak on their campuses, even if many students do not agree with their beliefs. College-age students often do not agree with conservative political beliefs, but school officials believe that letting speeches by conservatives and others take place on campus can help lead to free and open debate. But recent protests show that beliefs about free speech on college campuses may be changing. Will Creeley is a senior vice president of legal and public advocacy at the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education. He said that those who support free speech are worried about the protests. He says schools should work harder to protect speakers who may have different political beliefs than many students. Last month, a group at Middlebury College in Vermont invited Charles Murray to speak on the campus. Murray is a political scientist and a fellow with the Conservative American Enterprise Institute. His research has linked race and intelligence. Hundreds of protesters shouted as Murray tried to speak. Officials moved him to another building, where he spoke with Professor Allison Stranger. His discussion with her was shown online. College spokesman Bill Berger says that as Stranger and Murray left the building, they were physically and violently confronted by a group of protesters who set upon their car, rocking it, pounding on it, jumping on and trying to prevent it from leaving campus. Stranger was taken to a hospital. She left wearing a neck brace. She said during the dispute with protesters, one of them grabbed her hair and pulled her backward. In a message on Facebook, she wrote, "I feared for my life." Earlier this month, students at Claremont McKenna College in California targeted Heather McDonald. She is a researcher at the conservative Manhattan Institute and a well-known critic of the Black Lives Matter movement. Students said they disagreed with a book McDonald published last year called The War on Cops. In it, McDonald wrote that police officers are afraid to do their work because of increased attention from reporters following the police shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014. Brown, who is black, was killed by a white officer. A student group invited McDonald to speak on campus, but protesters stopped her from entering the building where she was to speak. She was forced to instead broadcast her speech on the internet. She did so from a room that was mostly empty. Protesters had blocked people from entering. The protesters hit the room's windows and shouted until McDonald later said, "The cops decided that things were getting too chaotic and I should stop speaking." Police officers then had to help McDonald leave the building so she could safely escape the protesters. Creeley says incidents like the ones at Middlebury and Claremont are becoming increasingly common at American colleges. He called the trend deeply troubling. Creeley also criticized university officials for accepting the demands of students. He says the students do not know enough about laws that protect free speech in the United States. He notes that there is no hate speech exception to the First Amendment. There is a problem of students being unaware of the extent of their rights and the rights of their peers, he said. In 2015, the market research group YouGov asked students about free speech. In the opinion study, 43% of the students questioned said, making sure that students have an environment free from discrimination, even if that means placing some limits on what students can say, should be more of a concern for colleges than protecting the absolute right to free speech.